I'm going to be discussing my week as an artist in 2025, showing some of my metallic art prints and discussing AI and why that's basically ruining everyone's lives. So the goal is still to become a full-time artist. And I kind of think it's funny how most people want to quit their jobs and become an artist, a writer, a musician or something like that. Simultaneously, as of 2024, I'd say 2024, maybe 2023, but certainly now that we're into 2025, proliferation of AI has basically meant that everyone's dreams are now slowly coming to an end. The amount of videos I've watched over the last few weeks of people saying, I used to be a professional blogger, I used to write articles for businesses and stuff, and now I've been superseded by AI. Or I used to be a web designer and graphic designer for a marketing agency, and now the company systematically started firing the design team until only I was left, and then eventually, I too was fired and superseded. This is becoming quite common, and I still think it's funny when go into an AI debate chat, see what people are talking about on some AI related bit of content, and people will say, oh, I don't think AI is going to ruin anyone's jobs. Everyone was worried about horses and carriages being replaced by cars, or everyone was worried about typewriters being replaced by computers, blah, 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 blah. What happens when all the things that people aspire to, all the hope that people have when they have their boring, mundane, just shitty jobs, and they think, I'll keep doing this, I'll grind away, I'll save up, and then maybe I can one day become an artist, or one day I can become a writer, or I don't know, whatever it is. But what happens when that's all been just taken over by AI? You can't compete. The marketplace is so difficult to compete in that you can't do it. Certainly not if you're working, say, a 9-to-5 job, and then you've only got the evenings or whatever to improve your craft and get better at the thing that you're trying to get better at. There's always going to be a small percentage of people who are just phenomenal. They're at the top of their game. They don't have to really worry about AI. And they're the sort of people that have lots of subscribers, lots of followers, lots of the sort of video content you might have seen if you've kind of looked into this stuff already on YouTube that's popped up on your feed, or TikTok or social media, where someone with a fair sort of following and a higher level of skill is basically saying, I don't think we need to worry about AI. They don't need to worry about AI. They're fine. They've got their contacts. They've been working in the game, movie industries, the publishing industry, whatever industry it is. They're quite settled, they're quite secure to some degree, and you're still going to need perhaps art direction, even if you've got AI like an army of AI prompters creating the content for whatever production that you're trying to facilitate. So yeah, it's difficult times, and I could talk more about the AI stuff, and maybe I'll do that on another occasion, but I don't want to get bogged down in it, because the reality is it's an end of an era. It's just the writing's on the wall. It's here now. And it's not just with the people that say, I don't think it will do that. It's like, yeah, it's doing that. I wonder what the percentage is. If I had to guess, as of 2025, maybe 2 years of sort of decent AI being sort of established. Things like Mid-Journey replacing art, ChatGPT replacing, the written word, stuff like that. I would imagine that maybe at this juncture, what are we looking at? Maybe 15% of all jobs that could otherwise be done, or would have been done by a human, have now been replaced by AI, or they could be overnight. And this goes for online tech support. If you ever go to a big website, say Amazon or eBay, and you want to talk to someone about a problem, first port of call will be an AI virtual assistant. So already that's, replaced the whole sort of customer service industry. And it's going to keep going to the point where, sorry, I didn't want to talk about this too much, and I'll get through AI in a bit, but I need to make the point that even in customer service, something that's not related to the creative industries, AI is taking over. There's a few people that worry about it taking over in factories and day-to-day things, and it's like, yeah, okay, big factories like your Amazons of the world, they're going to get automation in, they're going to get robots in. I mean, they already have it in supermarkets and big warehouses and things like that. And there's going to be more of it. If we've been out into the world, we've seen that the world isn't just one huge warehouse. There's so many smaller businesses that aren't going to find it economically viable to employ robots that might cost £1 million to buy, when they could just hire a staff member at a fraction of that cost, like a 100th of that cost per year sort of thing. So smaller businesses will be okay for a time, but if things continue the way they're continuing, lots of people are going to start to worry. I suppose the only good thing about humanity is the fact that humanity is so flawed that there's going to be enough flawed human beings kicking up enough fuss so that progress probably won't overtake everything. If AI really gets to the point where it starts encroaching on all the sort of low level or even mid-level, which is probably the bigger worry for people, sort of mid-level jobs where most people kind of work, or that maybe the better work is, I think people will be like, well, wait a minute. I don't want to live in a future where the only work for me and my family is going to be difficult, meaningless tasks that are just too expensive at the minute to be replaced by automation and AI and things like that. I think humanity kind of needs some kind of hope that, especially if you're doing those kind of jobs that you don't want to be doing, I don't know, I feel like as well there's just going to be a massive rush to make a point of the fact that you are a human in the future. So everything's AI, and people already are starting to, the social media crowd are starting to be like, whoa, wait a minute. Is this artwork AI? If it is, I don't give a shit. Or is this music AI? If it is, I don't give a shit. Is this video, or this animation, whatever it is, AI? Like, what's going on here? People are starting to be a bit concerned by it. The majority don't really care. I think they're just like, you could just pump a news feed or a social media feed full of just fake bullshit AI stuff, and they'll just be like, okay, well, this is what I'm being told, so yeah, okay, I'll just take whatever's thrown at me. Some people don't have the inclination to care where their entertainment or news comes from, as long as it's providing a service in some way. I think other people are starting to get a bit concerned that everything they're seeing is AI. And as more and more people get their jobs replaced by AI, more and more people are going to be angry, to the point where most people, over 50% have their work replaced by AI. What's going to happen is most people are going to be somewhat angry about that. Maybe they didn't like the fact that they went to university for 3 or 4 years or whatever, paid out a shit ton of student fees, have huge debts from it, went into a career that they thought would be quite well paid and just quite a good job to have, or whatever it is, be working in that job, be totally skilled and experienced in that job for 10 years or more, or even 3 years or more, and then be told, actually, it's all worthless, you're going to need to retrain, you're going to need to start from the beginning. And especially if you're 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond, you're just going to think, I don't want to have to compete with teenagers in the marketplace that are training to do the same thing that I want to do, but being younger, while they might have the difficulties of being able to sort of stay on target, stay focused and work, some of them will do, and they're the ones that are going to get the jobs, because they're going to be the ones that potentially have the energy and the sort of the neural plasticity, or the ability to assimilate information and new skills quicker than the older generation. And this is all just going to lead to a lot of anger and frustration, and going to continue to do that. And then there's just going to be a big backlash. Everyone's going to be like, whoa, I don't want to support a company that uses X amount of AI, or has replaced certain amounts of workers with AI, or even content like this that people consume on the internet. They're going to think, I don't want to watch this if this isn't an actual human. Trouble is, digital online avatars, AI people, are becoming quite, I wouldn't say at this point it's quite, I'd say, realistic. Well, yeah, I'd say they're becoming quite realistic. I think we're still a few years, which isn't much, but we're still a few years away from being fooled by someone. If you put a video which was like this, of basically a guy just talking on the internet, on a YouTube thing, and just saying what he's saying, I think a lot of people will be like, in a few years' time, they'll be like, I can't really tell if this is a real person or whether it's an AI. So I'm going to prove that for future people that might watch this in 3 or 4 years, where they think, is this guy real? I'm going to prove that actually I am a real person, because I'm just going to show some of my bits of artwork, and I'd imagine maybe in about 10, 15 years, who knows, at some point AI can do this, but for now I don't think an AI can show a picture, move it around a little bit, and it still stay consistent and look a little bit blurred and with little artifacts and things like that. So we'll see. But yeah, so moving on, beyond AI, sorry for the long rant, but it's something that's really important. AI is probably the most important thing of the 21st century, most important technological development. It might be the last technology that humans ever invent. Because once you've got an AI, sorry, I'm going off on tangents again, but I'll just make this quick point. Once you have an AI, basically it can do everything. It's like an all-powerful, all-seeing God. You know, it can run our countries better than we can. It can do our jobs better than we can. It can figure out new technologies better than we can. It can even upgrade itself to make itself smarter, and then that can upgrade itself to make itself even smarter. Humans then become completely redundant, and then if we wanted to, we could completely outsource everything that we ever do to, you know, this entity that's sort of higher up the sort of pecking order and food chain than we are. And then where does that leave humanity? It's an interesting sort of philosophical question. But anyway, yeah, so moving on this week, one thing I did, I got a little leaflet printed. So these are leaflets I print just basically saying, I'm Ben, thanks for buying from me. You know, I include these with every order that I sort of send out, if it's from the UK at least. And then I say, I'm Ben, this is a little bit about me. And if you want to support me and buy something else from my website, there's a discount to do that. So I pretty much ran out of discounts previously, and I was trying like I think a 25% discount, rebuy discount, to sort of reward customers that took the time to buy from me, because I really appreciate the order. But this time I thought, no, I'm gonna try 30%, and it was a mixture of just wanting to give more value to reoccurring customers and feel like there was more incentive, and well, yeah, that it was that, you know, and for my own greedy, selfish, money-grabbing needs, I just thought, oh, well, if I get more sales off the back of this, great, more money for me. The difficulty is I don't get a lot of sales, not through my own website, for example. But from my own website, I had a couple of orders this week. One was for a big, like 2x3 foot canvas, which was great. I don't get many of these sort of bigger orders. I was like, brilliant. You've made my day with the big order. Because one of those orders, it doesn't take that long for me to facilitate, and it basically just pays me a day's wage effectively. But then what normally happens is after that, the next day just nothing, the next day nothing, the next day nothing, the next day nothing. It might be another week until I get another order. Then that order might only be, you know, to the value of £10 or £20 or something, and obviously that's not enough to pay for the day's wages. So ideally, in an ideal world, I'd be getting one big canvas order a day. Realistically, that probably never happened. I mean, it could do for a burst. Like I could probably have hypothetically, I could have a year where everything is just, like if I just had an unlimited marketing budget, and anyone who saw my stuff, if it's put in front of them enough, could buy it. Like there's enough value, I think, in what I'm producing in order for people to say, yeah, I'd buy one of your prints. So some of the things I sell, for example, fan art prints. You know, this is something that people would put in their homes within a frame, and this is an example of like one of the metallic ones. So you can probably see, especially on the sort of the lighter colours, the sort of sheen that comes off of the paper. So I love the metallic. I like any sort of paper finish that is a little bit different, a little bit unique, a little bit of something where people would say, well, because normally with artwork, you do the artwork and they're like, wow, I'd love to own that. And you're like, okay, well, that took me a week, therefore I'm going to want £500 or £5,000 or whatever it is you're charging. And certainly people are like, oh, well, no, I only want to spend about £20. And then you're like, okay, well, I can't work for an entire week and survive in the world if I'm only earning £20 a week. So therefore, I'm going to need a bit more money, or you can buy an art print. So that's what I do. I have these art prints. I sell these for, I think, around £20 maybe for prints, maybe a bit more for metallics, depending whereabouts you buy them for. For anyone that knows manga and understands that this is the best manga ever created, they'll know who this character is, Guts from Berserk. So I'm still reading Guts. Still reading Berserk. It's something I'm probably about halfway through at the moment. So the Berserk party, the crew, without telling too many spoilers, they're off to Elf Island or whatever it's called. Well, as far as my understanding is, this is quite a big story arc. So yeah. Anyway, suffice to say, I'm halfway through the story of that. It's very good. This is one that I tried. This was like I had this in colour, and someone said, "Oh, I really like this design. Can you do this in a black and white version? And can you do it in a metallic?" So this was like a custom order that someone done. So I always say to people, like, if there's something that you like that I'm producing and I don't have it, because I know people have like different decor, and they're like, "Oh, do you know, the theme of my house or room or whatever is like green, but the artwork you have isn't green, so therefore, yeah, I don't want it." I could create a green tint version. I could create a red tint version, like a black and white. You know, we've got the blue eyes going on there, and I thought, oh, I could do green eyes, red eyes, brown eyes, whatever. There's options, but yeah, they look so good in metallic. But then I was trying out. I haven't started selling these, but I was trying out these sort of, I don't know what these are, like iridescent hollow foil. They're not foiled. Just like what this is basically like a gloss art print. This is like super high gloss. You can see the sheer amount of reflections are crazy. It looks really sort of slick, smooth, shiny. But it's got a sort of rainbow sort of effect on it when it sort of catches the right sort of light. So it's kind of like that sort of, I don't know what you call it, but it gives that kind of like rainbow aurora, but on certain parts of the image in certain lights. So yeah, I tried this. I mean, it's for sale. If anyone wanted to offer me some money for it, I'd send it. But it's not. You can't just buy it on my website. You'd have to see this video basically, and then see what I'm doing with it. And I tried it with one of my more sort of tattoo-inspired artworks. It's so weird, isn't it? I don't even know what to say about this sort of paper style, but it's got this sort of, yeah, this glow to it. So I love experimenting with different sort of paper finishes and styles and things like that. And yeah, it just gives something a little bit extra than what you would buy from just like a regular paper print, especially like a smaller one, whereas people have like a standard, for example, sort of European A4 sized paper. And people are like, oh, I could just print that at home. I'll just take a photo of it and print it at home. That's a funny thing as well. Like I go to these comic conventions and I sell my art prints and stuff through the conventions. And you get certainly younger kids, they do this sneaky little, like, they kind of hold the phone around your artwork and, like, you know, film it or take photos of it. And they try and almost, sometimes they do it a bit sneakily. And there's a couple of things about that. Firstly, I've seen other artists have signs on their tables saying, like, no photography. And I'm like, okay, well, fair enough. I don't do that because not only does my artwork, I mean, like I display it in within like glossy sort of plastic sort of bags, so you get a lot of like reflections on it. And I kind of think, well, firstly, you take a photo of that and you try and print it off, you're going to get like a big white like reflection that you wouldn't normally get like if you've got the raw file. And secondly, like even if it was a photo and then a print off of the artwork, firstly, most people can't be bothered. Most people can't be bothered to even switch their printer on, feed it with paper and a fresh set of inks or whatever, and print out a picture. I don't think most people could be bothered to do that. It's cheaper to just spend £10-20 just buying an art print and just having it there ready to go. Even if it's like certainly if it's a like non-metallic version. So I don't think people would want to print off my bits of artwork or any bit of artwork. They just wouldn't have the inclination. Even if they did, the quality wouldn't be great. And even if there wasn't this reflection or whatever, the quality wouldn't be great. People like myself are original artists. We have the high-res Photoshop files, and that's, you know, the raw data that we use to create the derivative prints from. I'm not personally worried about some kid taking a photo of my artwork and using it as his desktop background or, you know, background for his phone, you know, wallpaper or something. Even if they want to print it off. Like, as well, this is the thing, like, if some, like, kid wants to, like, print off my picture, great. That's fine, you know, enjoy it. I would obviously appreciate putting your hand in your pocket, you know, and buying an art print from me. It helps me do what I do if people support me. But if you can't afford it and you like the artwork, I suppose, you know, do what you got to do. And I always think it's kind of weird, like, there's so many just images on the internet. Like, you could just go on a website like DeviantArt and just pull off a million images to use as background desktop wallpapers and stuff. I don't know why people would want to use my artwork for that kind of thing anyway. And I think sometimes what's happened is people take a photo at a show of my artwork and they say, "Oh, do you mind if I take a photo?" It doesn't happen that often, but as occasionally. And then like an hour later, that person comes back with their friend because they were actually taking a photo to send it to their friend who was interested in, Mario and, should I say, Bouette. And then they're like, "Yeah, okay, well, I know who that character is. It's sort of like a Nintendo meme creation. My friend likes that. I'll let them know and they can have it, and that's all good." So that is what I've been up to, just sort of refining, sending out a couple of prints and getting that sorted, getting a new flyer printed. Other than that, just trying to deal with what has been the shittiest 2025 regarding health-wise ever, because this is currently dealing with the third flu of the year. So I've spent more of this year, we're like 2.5 months into the year, and I've spent more of it ill than I have well. Monday I was like a bedridden day. So right on cue, there's a cough. So yeah, I'm not feeling great. The rest of the week I've just been like coughing and struggling to do a lot. I haven't really done that much in terms of actual artwork, so it's kind of a tricky thing when you're trying to be an artist and work full time doing this kind of thing, but actually doing art is kind of secondary to perhaps posting on social media, or putting in an order of prints like I've shown you earlier, or getting some flyer sorted or whatever it is. It can be a tricky time, so I'm giving myself a bit of a break for not having produced too much in terms of on the artwork side of things, and I think you've got to do that sometimes. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. If you've had any struggles yourself with 2025 for health or reasons or otherwise, let me know, because I'm starting to think like this is a thing that we're all dealing with. Like 2025 is so, well, as the months and the years go on, things are so stressful that I'm starting to wonder if the reason I've got had free flus is just because of stress. So is it just me, or is everyone finding this year difficult, or are people actually finding that this year is going pretty well so far? I'm really quite be interested to know what people think about that. So yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.